All right, workout for October 18th, we have a yoga EMOM. After your general warm-up, we're gonna do 2 rounds of side plank leg lifts, 30-30, and then puppy pose lat stretch. That one you can kind of hold for left and right, do a couple sets. I'll kind of leave that one a little open-ended, but I'll show you that. So the activation again, we're gonna do side plank leg lifts. These are sort of my go-to. You're getting side plank, so you're strengthening the core and the low back. You're also getting some shoulder stabilization, and then you're activating the glutes, so it gets a lot. So if you're like, I don't know what to do, this is definitely one of my just like, let me just do this to get warmed up. So inside plank, I have my forearm down and my knees down. I'm gonna lift up and make sure that my hips are forward or open, and then I'm gonna do 30 lifts with that top leg. So I'm not going all the way up, but I am, pulsing it. So 1, 2, 3, all the way to 30. Those are tough. You might actually find it difficult to get to 30, and then you're gonna do 30 on the other side. The second piece is puppy pose, and we're gonna add in a little bit of lat stretch. So it's also called Anahatasana, but you know how puppies, they kind of stretch in the morning, so that's what it is. So unlike child pose, where I'm back here, I'm gonna keep my hips above my knees and maybe just an inch back. So if you kind of like set yourself up in tabletop and then go an inch back, I'm gonna walk my hands out and my forehead can actually rest on the floor. And then from there, I do wanna try to relax and go into extension. I can then shift my hips to one side, and really, I just need this one arm down. So my head is resting on my arm and I'm shifting my hips to the left and stretching my right arm. And then I'll do the other side. So I'm gonna lay right on that arm, shift my hips over to the other side, but try to relax. So you might spend some time here in the center, again in that just puppy pose, and then you might add in the lat stretch, either 1 or 2 rounds, and then you're gonna do it again. So you'll go back and do the 30 leg lifts, left and right, and then go back to the puppy stretch. So if you're like in the puppy stretch, you're like, meh, I don't really feel anything, maybe just do left and right, and then left and right again. If you are in it and you're like, holy crap, really sore here, I might do left and right 3 times. So like center, left, right, center, left, right, center, left, right, for 1 round, and then obviously you do the leg lifts and then come back and do that again 3 times. So definitely spending like a few seconds, a few breaths in those positions, which is really nice. You're getting some nice extension on your back, flexion on your shoulder, which is nice. So, okay, I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay, so for your yoga EMOM, you're gonna do an EMOM every minute for 24 minutes. So this is a 24-minute WOD. You're gonna spend at least 45 seconds of work, and maybe you give yourself, when you hear the halfway point at 30 seconds, you work a little bit more, and then you transition to the other piece. You're gonna have to transition either in the minute before it or the minute after. So it's gonna take you at least 10 seconds, if not 15, to get to the next pose. So in these EMOMs, you have 45 seconds of work, okay? So the first one, you're gonna do the bridge alternating step out. So I'm gonna lift up into bridge. I'm gonna step out with my right, and then my left, and then my right, and then my left. So I'm alternating. You are doing this for a minute to 45 seconds. Just make sure that you are alternating. You can play with how far away your legs are, how close they are, etc. Then you're gonna do tabletop plank with opposite lifts. So I call it tabletop plank. So this is what we call tabletop. My knees are gonna be up, so that's my tabletop plank. You can stay here for a few seconds, and then you can practice some of the alternating lifts. So my opposite hand and opposite knee are up. You could also just play with just the hands, just the legs. You can crawl around forward and back like a little 2-step. You can go to the side, but I'm relatively staying in one place. I guess if you really wanted to crawl, if it's like driving you nuts, you could crawl around, but that is your tabletop plank. It kind of sucks. It's actually a lot on your legs. So you can rest, obviously you need to, but try to pop back in and get as much time under tension within that 45 seconds to a minute. Your third one is gonna be boat pose. So lots of fun movements here. You might just start here, hugging your chest to your legs. You might start here with your feet on the ground. If you're super new to the core, this might be really challenging to you. You might play with the extension, which we're gonna do in another WOD next week. You might be able to get both feet up. you might be able to get both be extended. I just don't want you laying way back here. So if that happens, you do want to use your hands to pull yourself in. You can kind of wiggle from side to side if you wanted to. You can also rock back and then try to find yourself seated again. If you can do straight legs at all, whether it be one or at least maybe this extension, you should do that. You should always be working towards the full pose, which is being able to be really close and really straight. But obviously you can't hold it the whole time, but you don't want to just stay in the easy position like I could just stay here forever. You want that minute to be challenging. So I do want you to play. Hands can be down, hands can be in the front, hands can be in the back. There's not a whole lot of wrong. I just don't want you starting to fall too far away, because if you do have a weak core, it can pull on your back the further you lean back. So I do want you belly and quads as close together as possible. The fourth one is going to be a squat press out. So you need a weight of some type to do this. So whether that be a jug of water, those 2.5 gallons of water that you get like at Wegmans, those weigh about 20 pounds. So if you need weight, those are $3. So you spend $6 and you have 40 pounds of weight. So that's kind of easy. Just don't drop it because you're gonna have water all over your floor. So if you are barefoot, I do like to put my heels on a mat. So I'm a little elevated, but just on a mat is fine. With sneakers, I'm gonna go into a squat and hold that squat while I do some press outs. It's up to you if you wanna hold this out here for a little bit longer because it's a minute. So you can hold this for a little bit longer if you want to. You could also press it up a little bit higher, but you're doing a squat press out. Again, you're gonna have to rest, but pop back in when you can. Okay, so then you're gonna do a box handstand hold. I'm saying box, but obviously I don't have a box. I have a beam. I also have my windowsill. So you're gonna prop yourself up on something. Maybe it's a chair. Just make sure it's not gonna go flying all over the place. Maybe it's your couch. So something that's about in between knee and hip height. So this is just above my knee, mid quad. That's perfect. I'm gonna go into a handstand with bent knees. So I'm gonna keep my knees bent and press my chest towards my legs so that I'm in as much extension as possible. I'm just gonna hold this. Some of you might start to play with shifting your hips and picking up one hand. Some of you might do some handstand taps. You might even do some handstand push-ups. I don't know. But just playing with being in that overhead position and just holding is perfect. A minute is a long time. You're gonna have to hop out and then get back in. Okay, if it's really too hard for you to do that, you're gonna take a weight and just hold it overhead. So you can do this seated, or you could do it walking around, but taking 2 weights, pressing them up and holding, just holding overhead. I also like to do this walking around my house, so taking nice slow steps and try to press the weights through the ceiling. That is another option for that if you don't have a box or it just is too much pressure on your shoulders. The last one's gonna be bird dog. This is the one you're gonna split 30-30. So at the half, when you hear the beep halfway, with the SmartWatt timer, it'll tell you halfway, you're gonna alternate. So back to tabletop, excuse me, and then you're gonna do opposite leg, opposite hand up. And then I just wanna make sure I'm pushing the ground away. So the fault with this one is resting into your shoulder and bowing the belly. So if you look from the side, pretend I have my arm all the way out. I wanna make sure that I'm pushing the ground away and pulling my belly button into my spine. So you're just gonna hold, again, the opposite hand and opposite leg out for 30 seconds. It'll beep, and then you will switch sides. The other obvious fault would be picking up the same hand and same leg. That happens a lot. So do make sure it's your left leg and your right hand that's up. So those are your 6 movements. You're gonna go through those. You'll end up doing them 4 rounds, and it'll take you 24 minutes. So using your SmartWatt timer, again, you're gonna do an EMOM every minute for 24 minutes. All right, guys, have a nice yoga EMOM.